Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to start out with this one deck, then we're going to go to a different deck, and at the end we're going to ask what a possible outcome could be based on how people harness their Sagittarius energy. So the card that flew out is Rest and Rejuvenation, and the reason it came out is because of the man holding heart. And the way I read tarot is the masculine figures can represent how we're taking action in the world, because we can all present ourselves in the world any way we want, and then the feminine figures reflect how we really think and feel. So there's people in the world, some people are healing from past pain and heartbreak because they are taking action authentically from a place of love, and they're speaking the truth to themselves. They're seeing the truth about themselves, about other people, the past, to offer love to all of it, to let it go. You know, I'm going to take the lessons I was meant to learn from it. Sagittarius is about higher learning and education, and I'm going to deal with the truth. Everybody in my life has been where they were at in what they thought. The Four of Swords is Libra energy, what they thought was just and fair. Some of those people, kind of, the kings can represent, again, people could be operating more from their ego. They're just presenting themselves as a more loving person than they really are, motivated by love, but they're really kind of operate more from their ego, live more from their mind than their heart. Could have their own past pain and heartbreak that they don't deal with. And we wish everyone would heal. We wish everyone would have been more just and fair and loving, but not everyone was. Because everybody has went through their own life experiences. And until they offer love to those situations and themselves, to free themselves from those things that manipulate them, those things are going to keep manipulating them. So there's some people right now who kind of think, it takes work and effort to work through our past pain and heartbreak, our fears, our insecurities. And some people decide, I've got an idea. I'm just going to present myself as a loving family person so that other people will get in a relationship with me. Other people really are motivated and inspired by love. They are doing the work to heal from past pain and heartbreak so they can authentically be loving in their relationships. And they might be thinking about who are the people who are kind of on the same page as me. If some people are more balanced within themselves, more motivated by love, they want to be in relationships with people who are like that. Some of the people in their life, that might not be their truth. And high vibe people are willing to see the truth of it. I wish you peace, but we're not on the same page. Some people who are more about wearing a false mask might wonder if they could manipulate someone who is loving to try to buy in that they're motivated by love, even though they know they're not. So they might, if they've already done that enough times, they might think, you know what, I'm just going to go try to find someone who might be on the same page as me, kind of likes to live a little more from their mind than their heart, but they present themselves as loving to me, and when we go out in the world, and I'm okay with that, and maybe both of us are still defensive because of past pain and heartbreak. But so long as we act loving and present ourselves as loving, maybe that's enough. So, tell us what else is going on with this story. We have the Five of Wands. The reason it came out is because of the Three of Wands. The Five of Wands can talk about, the Five of Wands can be change. Some people who've done this work within themselves to deal with the truth sets us free. We have changed. We're not the same person we were before. And how did we change? Because we were inspired out of love for ourselves to free ourselves from things that manipulated us. So high vibe people have changed. And what they used to view as like what they wanted to have as their dream coming into reality. The Three of Wands can be, I'm expecting my dreams to come into reality. They realize the truth. I can't change other people. There might be people in my life that I wish they would change because then my dream could come into reality. But I can't make other people do this work. I can't make people heal. I can't make people quit hiding behind their ego until they change and make that free will choice to be inspired to change, to deal with a truth or truths that they need to deal with. Some people have a lot of inner conflict about change because shadowy Three of Wands and Aries energy can be that they have this way of viewing life that they think is just and fair in their Libra energy, and a way of living life that they love, and they think it should go that way. You know? Well, if you're working together with other people, everyone has their idea of how they expected their dreams to come into reality and what kind of motivates and inspires them. And it's supposed to be where we work cooperatively with people. And the Five of Wands comes after the Four of Wands. You know, the Four of Wands talks about coming together with others. Well, when we come together with others, and then the Four of Wands plus the One Wand is about having this new beginning. But are the things that we're motivated and inspired by, that fire energy, that wand, is it the same thing? And sometimes we get in more mismatched relationships. Well, I'm motivated and inspired to heal and grow and mature myself and work through issues from my past to be free so I can have this new beginning in hope and faith and belief and love. But the other people that you could get in a relationship with, they're like, I had thought about doing that, but, you know, that does take a lot of work and effort. And I just decided I wanted to get in a new relationship. I still have my pain, my heartbreak, my self-limiting beliefs, but I think I can control the situation. Kind of control it, living more from my mind than my heart, having a strategy. I'll just present myself as someone who's willing to have a new beginning, having hope and faith and belief and love, but I still have inner conflict about having hope and faith and belief and love or in myself. And I really haven't done this work within myself. And so then we try to have these new beginnings, which some people are trying to do right now, and they're kind of in a mismatched relationship. For the people that are on the same page, for the people that have healed, there's people in your life who've also healed, who are more balanced, who aren't trying to control things, try to, you know, you're either being truthful and honest and authentic or you're trying to manipulate people. The people in your life, whether those are coworkers, friends, family, adult children, parents, whoever, the people in your life who also are inspired to keep maintaining balance, to keep operating from a foundation, being inspired by love, to offer love and encouragement to others, to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves, just like they do within themselves. Those are people that you've all changed, and you're all constantly willing kind of to change, being inspired to keep learning lessons in life, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Oh, that was a bad idea. That ended up causing pain or heartbreak, or I was kind of being bossy or controlling or something, or the other people were. And people are willing to work those things out because they're inspired to work cooperatively together from a place of being motivated and inspired by love. And some people in our life and some people that are in their romantic relationships, that's how they're moving forward. There's other people that we both haven't healed. We're both kind of wearing a false mask. We both have inner conflict, but we want to have a new beginning in a relationship so it looks like our dreams are coming into reality. Well, then those people are on the same page. And then there's people having a new beginning, but they're kind of have conflicting ideas of what is just and fair, what motivates and drives them, right? High vibe people realize that everyone has their own dream, and if they are going to work together with other people, it is to offer love and encouragement, and so long as the other people are in an energy of love and continuing to have hope and faith, and that we work through these difficulties together from a place of love, then we're able to keep moving forward in relationships, right? But if one person is like, Well, no, I have my idea and it was supposed to be my way. And I have inner conflict about doing it any other way. Well, then there's going to be some conflict in a relationship because they're a little bit maybe more about themselves. And high vibe is like, I want us to all do it because of love. And love for working together from a place of love. And love is supposed to be just and fair, where you treat other people the way you like to be treated. But some other people have a conflict with that because they kind of like the scales tipped in their favor. It should be a little bit more about me. So high vibe people have seen who in their life seems to have a problem working cooperatively from love, who doesn't, who does, who doesn't, and they're choosing to invest in the people in their life who do seem to be more just and fair and healing from people in their life who maybe had conflict with being more just and fair. Then we have the High Priestess, and the reason that came out is because of the Seven of Pentacles. High vibe people listen to their intuition because they've also learned when I didn't listen to my intuition and I thought I could change other people, I'll be loving and encouraging. I'm sure they'll change. I have maybe seen that we're not really on the same page, and we've learned to listen to our intuition about people's philosophy of life. The Seven of Pentacles is Taurus energy, and the sevens to me can talk about what people are more tipped in favor of. Are they more about themselves or the world or being indulged or, something in shadowy energy? Bossy, controlling, petty, immature, prideful, egotistical, want to be indulged, something, right? Other people are more tipped in favor of love. And that's our free will nature. And to try to change, if somebody in their free will has decided, I'm more about me or the world or these other things other than being more motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness, or looking at life from a higher perspective, it's very hard. That earth sign energy is like the earth is very hard to change, right? It's very slow moving. It's very hard to change people's philosophy of life because they wouldn't have that philosophy of life, whatever it is, if they didn't think that was either best for them, it helps them feel more balanced within themselves. If people were ready to be more bold, brave, confident, and be in more deep, meaningful relationships, they probably love to be, but they're not ready. Because they might have invested more of their time, energy, and effort into being more about themselves, competing in the world, being motivated and inspired by the world, and maybe authentically investing in their more emotional, intuitive nature, that they kind of figured, I can just wear a false mask about that. I really don't have to develop that as much. I think, and some people prefer to, if you're going to wear a false mask in love, you are kind of being more self-protective and self-defensive to love, and you could be a little more emotionally shallow and superficial, but they kind of figured that'll work. That's a good idea. Then I won't have to do love, right? And if I do love, I get hurt, and I don't want to get hurt. That could maybe throw me out of balance. So I think the best idea is to live more from my mind than my heart, just present myself as loving, because I have inner conflict about that dream of investing in love. I do want to be in relationships with people, though, but I think I can hide that I am more driven by my more worldly view of life. And so then they can get, if they get in a relationship with someone who also has a more worldly view of life, like to be in a relationship, to be in a relationship, to be in a relationship for the status or the ego or the image, to be in a relationship because I don't want to do love. I could get hurt doing love. Well, so long as they're on the same page, well then they all have their inner conflict about a dream of love. And they both might hide from each other, because shadowy energy can be, I'm creating an illusion, this is love. And, there can be love there and liking other people, but not really emotionally investing yourself in it more authentically. And so long as those people are on the same page, it can be, so long as we get along well enough and this seems like a good investment, works for my ego and my image, we'll keep staying in it. The people who are motivated and inspired by love listen to their intuition, to be loving and encouraging to themselves and the people they're in relationship with, to keep being loving and encouraging, so everyone kind of keeps staying on the path of having hope and faith and belief in themselves and in the dream, instead of kind of driving their life off into the ditch a little bit, right? And if they start to sense that someone in their life is starting to have some inner conflict about continuing to invest in the relationship, whatever type of relationship it is, then they might kind of be loving and encouraging, extend some grace to people while they deal with some of their own inner conflict and, about their truth and is this their truth? Isn't this their truth? And, all you can really do is, high vibe would be, I am going to be loving and encouraging to people and supportive. If they work through it and they're ready to keep moving forward with me in this way, then we keep moving forward in this way. But if I have been being patient and loving and encouraging, and then people stay in this energy for quite a long time, it might be, where then the pentacles can talk about bringing something into the 3D world, then they might communicate with someone. You seem to have some inner conflict about continuing to move forward in this job, this friendship, this relationship, in love. Is there anything I can do to help you work through that inner conflict? And sometimes the problem might be that some people are hiding that they're not sure if they want to keep investing in it. And we do come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about what our truth is, with the Four of Swords being Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice, air sign energy of the mind and our thoughts and our truth. That some people might kind of wonder, we could have all gotten in a relationship. We were at one stage of life. Maybe we did have inner conflict. We didn't know if our dreams were going to come into reality. And we wanted a certain dream to come into reality. And we could have invested in someone where maybe we feel like, again, kind of what drives and motivates us is a little different. Everybody could be loving, just, fair, balanced, supportive, encouraging people, but do I really feel like it's aligned with my truth? And so, people have to question that. Some people could have moved on in some relationship. Then maybe some other people come into their life, and then it can cause them some inner conflict. Like, oh, wow, here's someone. Does that person seem more aligned with my truth? Or is it the people that I'm currently hanging out with? Same way when we have a friend group and we meet someone else, like, wow, maybe I have more in common with them, and maybe I'd like to go hang out with them more. But if I go hang out with them more, the people I'm currently hanging out with could have a problem because they thought I was going to keep investing in them. And, same thing more dramatically can happen in a relationship. High vibe people, I don't think, they don't want to tempt people or cause people inner conflict, and they don't want people in competitive, conflicted energy to get in a relationship with them. You work through whatever you got going on in your life, and you resolve that, because I'm in a place of peace. I do not want conflict and whatever in my life. I want people who are at peace within themselves about how they're living their life and the decisions they're making, who are inspired and have the same dream I have. If you're not sure and you're just wondering if someone looks like a good investment, then it's not me. Go pick someone else. If you're more ego-focused, image-focused, self-focused, yeah, don't stay away. I want people who are more balanced within themselves. We all want these things of the world, but we high vibe people also want equally loving, authentic, just, fair, balanced, loving relationships. Other people are just kind of looking to, well, who would I look like I got the most justice with, or who seems to be more just or fair, or who seems to be more loving, or, but are they more just and fair and loving? And if you're not, don't look to me to be that type of person in your life in a more involved relationship, because I only want to be in relationships with other people who have been inspired to invest in making decisions in their life from truth and love, not what's best for me or ego or image or being indulged. You go hang out with someone else. So high vibe people, even though there could be things that they have inner conflict about, concerns about if their dream is going to come into reality, high vibe people trust that if they keep making decisions in their life from hope and faith and love and acting with character and integrity, they're not going to indulge their more immature, prideful nature, because they already know that's not planting good seeds, and they don't reap a good harvest, and they don't want to be in relationships with other people who are doing that. I'm listening to my intuition as I continue to move forward in my life, which maybe you've had some new beginning, maybe Taurus energy can represent all these different institutions in the world, like workplaces, organizations, neighborhoods, communities, friendships, jobs. As you're moving forward to invest in getting the justice you deserve, operating, being inspired by truth and love, and acting with character and integrity, you're kind of listening to your intuition about other people that you meet as you go to who seems to be more on that page, who seems to have more inner conflict with that. I'm not going to try to change people. I'm going to accept that people are where they're at. I can work with a lot of different people. I can know a lot of different people. I can get along with a lot of different people. I treat other people the way I like to be treated, in a just and fair, loving, respectful way, encouraging way. Am I going to get in a more involved relationship with someone if I think, they're really not more connected in with their loving nature, and they're more connected in with their being about themselves for the world? No, we're kind of on different pages. So I'm going to listen to my intuition about who's who and who I invest my time, energy, and effort into. Some people in your life could like to be in a relationship with you, or people like you, but they have inner conflict about believing in that dream, or believing in love, or trusting other people because of their own past pain and heartbreak, or because they know if they get in a relationship with someone who is more motivated by love, that then it isn't kind of more about them, and they still have inner conflict about it not being more about them. Or they're more materialistic, and maybe there's people in the world that they could be in a relationship with that are more like them. It's just that they don't know if their dream's going to come into reality with those people, because maybe those people aren't working together with them cooperatively to bring that dream into reality. And so there's some people that kind of want to play both sides of the fence. And some people haven't made up their mind. I don't know if I want to do love, or if I want to be more about myself, or if I'd rather get in a relationship more for the status or the ego or the image, And some people have that type of inner conflict. And some people are loving, some people are more aligned with the world, and then there's the people that are still struggling within themselves, right? And so you're just listening to your intuition about the different types of people in your life. And some of the people who are more shadowy are kind of wondering if they were to try to get in a relationship with someone who's more aligned with their loving nature, if they would be able to hide the truth about what really drives and motivates them, because you're intuitive. And you wouldn't get in a relationship with them more out of lust or greed or codependency. You would listen to your intuition. And they don't know if they can confuse you about the truth of what really drives and motivates them. Then we have the Ten of Swords, and the reason that came out is because of the Justice card and the Strength card. There's some people in the world that you've already ended relationships with, because in their Libra-Leo energy that they harness, they are, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, they do think it's just and fair to operate more from their defensive nature, egoic nature, worldly nature, materialistic nature, and you already know they kind of wear a false mask and that they live more from their mind than their heart. And that's not the truth of who you are, and you don't want to be you just see the truth that is what makes them maybe feel stable and grounded within themselves, or safe or secure. And you've kind of freed yourself from aligning with your more defensive, worldly nature. You've worked through your inner conflict and some of your past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs to put an end to thinking it's just and fair to live your life like that, because you want justice in your life. And you've learned that when I take action more out of my fear, my insecurity, my pride, my ego, my lust, my greed, there's going to be people in the world that are really happy that I am and would be willing to be in a relationship with me, being in that energy, because they're in that energy. But then the dream doesn't come into reality the way I want, because I want a more just and high vibe Libra and high vibe Leo is I want a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving and warm and encouraging relationship. And I can get in relationships with people trying to change other people, but it's kind of like I'm hiding from the truth that isn't their truth. If that was their truth, they would be that kind of person already. And I've already been in relationships where I was hoping other people would change and that they would work through whatever manipulates them to free themselves from looking at life that way, or being more driven by the world or their ego or their defensive nature, right? And I don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. And so I've seen the truth. I'm not going to take action from more shadowy energy. That will eliminate me getting in relationships with people who are more shadowy energy. And the people in my life who I already know are kind of more competitive, ego-focused, material-focused, want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship, want me to stay in a relationship out of my fear and insecurity of not being in a relationship, they can go get in a relationship with someone else. I'm not doing that anymore. I want justice and fairness and authenticity. So I have to maintain balance within myself, temper my more fearful, codependent, whatever nature, to keep moving forward, balanced, being inspired to take action from love. And as I meet people, and if people from my past want to come into my life, people from my present, people I meet in my future, I can get to know people and communicate with them. But as I do, I'm going to listen to my intuition about if I think they're being truthful, honest, trying to confuse me about the truth, trying to tempt me in my more worldly nature, or if they're being more authentic, if they've gotten out of their more egoic nature, if they haven't. And the people who I think have learned some of the same lessons I've learned and are ready to move forward in a more just and fair, inspired, and loving relationship, I'm going to invest in them because we've both gotten out and learned the truth that if we take action more out of pride or ego or fear or insecurity, it's probably not going to work out the way we want. And we both learned that, so we're willing to move forward. So what comes next? And if there is no one, well, there's usually some people in your family or at your work group, in your friend group, that are in that energy. You know, you're going to move forward with the people in your life who don't think it's just and fair to try to manipulate you. And you're only going to move forward with the people who are more just and fair, being authentic. High vibe Leo is also represented by the sun. Then we have the Hierophant. Why? Because of the Ace of Cups. You know, when we learn lessons in life, we incorporate those lessons we've learned into our philosophy of life. And the Hierophant in Taurus energy is like the Supreme Court in our own head. What is the law of my land? You know, I have debated back and forth within myself. I've been in relationships with these different type of people. High vibe people are walking the talk. They are offering people truth and love to move forward with them in truth and love. And there are some people in your life that really got a problem with that. Because there's some people in the world that like to present themselves as like a pillar of society. And, you know, I come across as this just and fair family person, male or female. I have this certain status or image. I look like my dreams are coming into reality. People should want to fight to be in a relationship with me. Some people are a little full of themselves, right? And because they have a more worldly viewpoint, it can be that if they have this certain status, image, level of attractiveness, social power, social clout, whatever, or they're just full of themselves, they could think that other people should temper their ego to be in a relationship with them. But love is where you both temper your ego to work together out of love for each other. But shadowy Taurus energy is a more transactional type relationship. Well, I have more of these things that you want, and generally it would be because people have these certain things that people in the world desire. But again, it could be looks, it could be money, it could be social clout, it could be attractiveness, whatever, you know. But that is their kind of philosophy of life. Well, I have these certain things. You might be more inspired and operate from a foundation of love. Well, I have these things of the world. You have love. You should temper yourself because these things of the world are more important. And you could have had that philosophy of life in the past. Because it is true that some people, people can be blessed with different talents, skills, and things in life, right? And some people do have more stability and security in their life than maybe some people who are very loving, but those people really walk the talk and act with character and integrity. And some people think, well, if I have a certain status or image in the world, well, then you're supposed to want to invest in me. It's like, and some of you did, but then you found out they weren't just and fair. And they're like, well, I kind of don't think I have to be, because I kind of think I don't really have to be loving. I just have to present myself as loving to you and when we go out in the world, but it really should be a little bit more about me. And I'm not going to temper my more being a little more full of myself. And basically, if you're not willing to temper your ego for me, you can go. And I'm sure there's other people, because they see that I look like their dreams could come into reality with me. I think there'll be other people who will invest in me. And some of you kind of picked up on that some people do have a more shadowy way of being, and if you're willing to stay in the job, the friendship, or the relationship with them being a little bit more about themselves and maybe stubborn, maybe manipulative, maybe kind of full of themselves and have this idea of what they think is just and fair, you said, I don't think that's just and fair. That might be what your idea is of the dream life. That's not my idea of the dream life. And I'm going to walk the talk. And I'm going to put into practice what I profess to say I believe in. And I am going to temper my more worldly nature. And high vibe Taurus is like being a spiritual leader in the world. And of course, in high vibe, it's aligning with the divine, kind of. You know what? I think the divine wants me to get my divine inheritance. And I got to detach from my more worldly, egoic viewpoint of life, thinking the only thing I have to work with is these things of the world. I have more things to work with than that. I have my creativity, my imagination, my dreams, my aspirations. And if I put work and effort to invest in those things and make those things and truth and love and character and integrity and enjoying my life and justice and fairness and investing my time in people who are like that, I won't be investing my time, energy, and effort into people who I already know aren't in that energy. That increases my odds tremendously of getting in relationships with people who are more on the same page as me. And I'm not willing to give up what I think is just and fair and authentic for something that seems just and fair, but is kind of more superficial and shallow that I might stay in out of my own inner conflict and ego about believing in myself and believing in my dreams. And some people are counting on you doing that. And as you keep moving forward, acting with character and integrity, not taking action more out of pride or ego or fear or codependency. Yeah, some other people have inner conflict about it because they thought for sure they could use your desire or the love that you had for them or your want for that job or that friendship, that they could manipulate you to give up standing up for what you believe in and be willing to indulge them in this false sense of it being just and fair when that wasn't aligned with your truth, and they knew it. But they didn't want to do life the way you wanted them to do it, because it would require them to quit thinking it's just and fair to try to manipulate and control people, and they'd have to get more balance within themselves and be more authentic and act with character and integrity and walk the talk from love. And some of those people really got a lot of inner conflict about that because that is not their truth. And that was not how they planned to live their life. So some of those people, the relationship ended. You moved on to go have new beginnings, new jobs, new friendships, and they're repeating this old pattern. And they might have went and made an offer to someone else to have a new beginning. Again, hiding that they're maybe taking that action more out of how it benefits them. And eventually some of the other people that they get in a relationship with kind of realize again that these people kind of are more about themselves or want to indulge in a relationship without maybe making a more formal commitment in the relationship. So they kind of just want to indulge in a relationship, and some of the other people in their life are now like, if you want to be in a relationship just to indulge yourself, go find someone else. I no longer think this is just and fair, and I also love and believe in myself, and you can go find someone else to try to indulge yourself in. But if you're not going to act with character and integrity from love, you can get to know people, but there comes a point in time, are we going to bring justice to this situation? And are people willing to temper their fears or their ego or their defensive nature to really put work and effort from love into this relationship. And if you're not, other people eventually are like, you do you with someone else, and I'm going to move on. And then at the end here, we have the Emperor. And the Emperor is about, some people think they're the boss and think they're all that. And people should want to indulge them in a relationship for some reason, whether they're male or female. But because this is a masculine card, there are people in the world who could look like a boss, look like they got power, status, influence, social clout, attractive, whatever. They've got justice. By worldly standards, it looks like they have justice, and they present themselves anyway as a loving person. It's just that they could be quite competitive and a little bit more about themselves secretly. And so people could have difficulty working together with them in relationships because they have this way of living life and they want to keep doing this. And it's kind of like, well, I don't really care if it causes you inner conflict because I really kind of think it should be more about me and what I want, And so it's hard for other people to want to keep investing in them, and some of them can't understand it. Well, I look like this and I have this and I don't understand. Why aren't people wanting to stay in a relationship with me? It's like because there's other people in the world who could look like a boss in the world in their own way, either because they act with a lot of character and integrity and love and make good decisions in their life. And when they're in relationships with other people, they take those people into consideration because they're in relationships with them and they love them, and they might have status or image or power or social clout or attractiveness to their own degree too. But those people offer love. And what a lot of these other people are offering is more, well, it looks like love, and it might have status or image or power, or I'm having sex with you, I don't get it. And it's like, well, that's also the difference. The Three of Wands, the Five of Wands, the Leo card, and the Aries and the Emperor are all fire sign energy. Do you use your words, your looks, your sexuality, all those things in a more manipulative way? Is it just using those things, including your sexuality, to try to control and manipulate people? Or are you being authentic from love? And people would be willing to give up some things of the world for love. They maybe gave up on doing love a long time ago, and they think other people should put away with that and make it more about these things because they do too. But other people aren't willing to give up being in a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving relationship for those things of the world. Now, could they struggle with it for a while? Yeah, because in our human being nature, we all kind of would like the things that we've invested in to work out. We keep thinking maybe we can change other people. And when we get out of our ego, I can't change other people. And I see the truth that they are who they are, which is different than who I am. And I'm going to wish them peace. And I'm going to move on to go find people who are more on the same page as me. And everybody can be at different stages where, nope, I'm not willing to give these things up. Or I love them. I'm sure one day they'll change. Well, if they don't make that free will choice themselves, they're really happy that some other people don't love and believe in themselves enough to stand up for what they believe in, and that they keep indulging them in their poor behavior because it works for them. But if people aren't in a relationship because of love, why are they in it? And if someone else comes along that seems like they'd be willing to indulge them more in their immature ways of being, or bossy ways of being, or competitive ways of being, or there's someone else who has more money, more status, more image, blah, 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 it isn't based on love anyway. Some of these people are going to get backstabbed regardless. Because if it was love that motivated the people they were in a relationship with, those people would quit acting from their more egoic nature to do love. And they're not doing it because they don't really value love. The Lover's card in tarot used to be called the Choice card, because the Lover's card is also Gemini energy, about our free will, which is the Ten of Swords energy. Some people don't really value love. I have sex with people, I'll have sex with someone else. Who's got the status, the ego, the image? Who's willing to indulge me in my poor behavior? Because love isn't what drives and motivates them anyway. They have some lessons to learn. They just think they could be taking some loving, nurturing, stable people for granted in their life. Like, oh, they're a dime a dozen, I'll just go find another one. And then some of those people who already did that have some inner conflict with some of the people they get in relationships. Like, well, you're not acting like those people. Those people were willing to temper their ego, and they were very loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging. And the other people are like, yeah, I'm not that person, and you didn't keep moving forward with them for some reason, so now you're in a relationship with me. And I might be a little bit more like you. And I might be a little more stubborn and prideful or materialistic or something. And then some people could realize at some date that they backstabbed themselves because they weren't willing to temper their ego to do love. And then the people that they didn't stay in relationship with, those people have no interest in being in a relationship with them anymore. And some of those people, or job, they've moved on to new jobs, they've moved on to new friendships, new relationships. They could wish them peace and love, but sorry, I've moved on. And that can happen also with all of us. That is, there is consequences for our actions in the Justice card. And we all, at different times in our life, we could have rejected being in friendships and getting in relationships with certain people because we were on our own journey of learning some lessons, and some people in our life who were more stable or grounded or loving or encouraging, we weren't there yet. So then we went and got what we got involved in. When we learned the lessons we were meant to learn from that, then we might communicate and reach out to some people in our life. I do think high vibe people aren't in their ego. They have humbled themselves. I had healing to do. I had inner conflict to do. I had a philosophy of life. I had a way of viewing life. And Taurus energy can represent all these institutions of the world, but it can be ways of living life, ways of dressing, religion, all these different things, big town, small town, just all these different things that can kind of influence us, right? And I think high vibe people are willing to communicate with other people in truth and love. That I had inner conflict about being your friend or staying in a relationship with you. And maybe we had different dreams at one point in time and how we wanted to move forward in life, and we weren't on the same page. With people that everybody kind of parted amicably and were willing to wish people peace and love, and I kind of want to go do this and you kind of want to go do that. There's a possibility that as people have gone on their journeys in life and learned these lessons and learned to temper their ego and different things, they could realize that, some of the people that were people who I think are more on the same page as me as people that I got out of some relationships with, or I didn't even keep pursuing more of a friendship or relationship with them. And if you were to reach out to them, some of those people, if they're not in another relationship, they would maybe be willing to reconcile in that friendship or relationship. But other people have moved on, and we have to accept the truth of that, not get in our ego about it, And we just accept that some people came into our life to be a good role model. I didn't appreciate that at the time, and I went and got involved in this. Well, now that I did, now I know that there are people like that who are out in the world, and I just believe that the divine has a plan for me. And I'm going to keep putting in work and effort to work with people in the world who I think are more on the same page as me. Some people that we could think are more on the same page as us, they could be happy that we thought they were someone who was more on the same page as us, but we were maybe not seeing the truth about them, that part of the reason why the friendship or relationship didn't really work out in the past was because they are kind of a little bit more about the world or themselves than we had realized. And then when we make an offer to them, they don't reciprocate, because it's like, well, I'm glad you thought of me as being that type of person, but I'm really not. Or some of those people got involved in kind of a mismatched relationship, but they'd have to end it. And it can be very hard to end it, how they're living their life or who they're aligning with, because they have created this illusion about, they're this certain type of person or how wonderful this is. And they'd have to be willing to get out of their ego in order to really walk the talk. And some people aren't willing to do that. We can all be tempted in our ego to not speak our truth. And I think when we are not willing to speak our truth and take action in truth and love, what we don't see coming is it's probably not going to work out the way we wanted to anyway. Because if we kind of don't want to be in a relationship, odds are the person we're in a relationship with doesn't really want to be in a relationship with us either, because it is a more mismatched relationship. But nobody wants to get out of it. And there could be people, even if they feel backstabbed because of a more worldly influences and ego influences, they're going to keep staying in it. And high vibe people adhere to a higher truth and justice. If this doesn't seem to be just and fair, if I know that I'm acting with character and integrity and being truthful and honest and just and fair, and the other people seem to have a problem with that, why would I keep investing in that? It could be more because of fear of having a new beginning, because of the ego or the image or the status or what would people say. And we're staying in something that's not just and fair and aligned with our truth. And as long as we stay in something like that, it's probably just going to get worse and worse. And the divine wants us, shadowy energy represented by the devil are all those things that manipulate us and control us and restrict us and manipulate us and imprison us. In truth and love, we offer other people truth and love. If other people are not open to working with us together in a just and fair and balanced way in truth and love, then I think higher truth and justice says it is just and fair to detach from something that is unjust and unfair. And people get out of those relationships to act, to be a spiritual leader in the world. I am not going to stay in something out of more fear, insecurity, pride, ego, codependency, when people are not acting in a just and fair way, or truthful way, or honest way, or unwilling to deal with their own inner conflict about things that manipulate them, that keep them repeating some old pattern. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? So it's kind of interesting. Here we have Aries. Here we have Leo. Aries can be about getting into something. We kind of tap into Aries energy when we get into something. Then in our Leo energy is when we're in the middle of something, and it's kind of like the fire sign energy that we tap into while we're in the middle of something. And then Sagittarius energy is the energy that helps us transition out of things, wrapping our brain around this game of life, being inspired to live our authentic truth from love. What's coming up? The Hierophant, the Six of Swords, the Emperor, the Ten of Cups. Why? Because of the Six of Cups. We can, again, the Taurus Hierophant can represent that the Six of Cups can talk about repeating old patterns. We'll all repeat a pattern of life until we've learned the lesson we were meant to learn from it. And when we learn the lesson and kind of see how we're repeating an old pattern that might be based on childhood, more on institutions of the world, of why we do what we do and why we value what we value and why we get in certain friendships or relationships or whatever. And then we realize, I'm repeating an old pattern. I don't want to repeat that old pattern, because my dream won't come into reality if I keep repeating that old pattern. And I need to see the truth. And I need to look at life from a higher perspective and put things in perspective. And I need to take the lessons I've learned to be more inspired, to be more balanced. The sixes can talk about balance. There are these things of the world that I want, but I also have my more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature. And it has to be a balance between the two, because like the Justice card and the Chariot card are all about maintaining balance between your more worldly nature and your hopeful, believing, loving nature. Otherwise, you kind of tip out of balance and you're indulging poor behavior in yourself or others, and you kind of drive your life off into the ditch. And I think initially we can all be more inspired by the world, but as time goes by, we kind of get more inspired to live our more authentic life and quit letting the world and ego manipulate us. That from love, I want to be happy, and I want to be in friendships and career fields and relationships with other people who are balanced within themselves, who are more about a more balanced relationship, who I can have deep, meaningful, inspiring, authentic relationships with. And how do you move forward in that energy? In the Six of Cups, you offer love to yourself for the lessons you've had to learn. You offer love to others for the lessons they've had to learn, that some of them still need to learn. And you make peace with the past, to let the past go. And I am going to start investing my time, energy, and effort into bringing my dreams into reality, working with other people who are inspired to do that, where it isn't more about being in a relationship to feel more balance, being in a relationship because I have inner conflict, being in a relationship because I want to be in a relationship, or because I want to have sex, or because I'm trying to manifest a certain thing into reality and I need to be in a relationship, maybe with someone to manifest that into reality. And maybe also we weren't listening to our intuition, and we've learned to listen to our intuition. And when our intuition tells us this is not just or fair or aligned with my truth, we are willing to speak our truth. And we've learned all these lessons in life. And High Vibe Emperor is, I could have let my heart run my life, and the other aspects of my life kind of went in the toilet. I let my worldly nature run my life. The other aspects went in the toilet. I let my passionate nature run my life. Some other parts went in the toilet. I let 1, 2, or 3 of my aspects kind of run my life, disregarded some other aspect as less important. And then you realize if I don't have all four aspects, my heart, my mind, my creative, passionate nature, and my practical, stable, grounded nature, all four equally have to be working together because I have that nature within myself. I have my heart, I have my emotions, I have my mind, I have my truth, I do have my worldly nature, I do want stability and security, I have my creative, passionate nature. To think that I can disregard one, two, or three of them and just make one or two aspects or three more important than the other, I haven't been enlightened to the truth. And as I went through this life experience and I let different aspects kind of be the predominant factor because I had these lessons to learn, now I have learned those lessons, and now I know that all four aspects are equally important. Something might be good worldly wise, stability wise, financial wise, but again, if it's not inspiring and creative and loving, it's drudgery, right? If it's like passionate and indulgent, but it's not stable and practical and it's immature, that's probably not going to work out well. I'm sure you get the idea. And as you keep moving forward in that energy, there's going to be other people in the world who see you moving forward in that energy. And those people are going to want to work together with you because they have also worked with people who are in this more shadowy energy, and they don't want to be in relationships with people like that, and they're looking for people like you, just like you're looking for people like them. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people? The Ten of Swords. Why? Because of the High Priestess. More worldly, shadowy people are always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life who would like to be in a relationship with them, but they're not willing to ignore their intuition because they've already done that in the past and it didn't work out the way they wanted. And they've learned to listen to their intuition. And I think your intuition was given to you as a gift to help you navigate in this world, because people can present themselves any way they want to in the world. Look at me. I'm this stable, grounded, just, fair, emotionally mature. I'm not selfish. I'm not greedy. I'm not bossy. I'm not controlling. I'm not egotistical or narcissistic. And then you find out they are. And high vibe people are willing to get to know people. But if their intuition tells them this person is not on the same page, what drives and motivates them is not like truth and love. It might be lust, it might be ego, it might be money, it might be they need to heal and they have inner conflict, so they just want to be in a relationship to heal. It's like, well, we'll be friends. But until you have worked through what you needed to work through and get more balance within yourself and tempered your own fears and insecurities, I can be a loving, encouraging person in your life, but I'm not going to move forward with you in a more involved relationship. And if it's too tempting for me, I might have to distance myself from you because I don't want to get myself tangled up in something with someone who hasn't been illuminated to the truth and is still conflicted. So high vibe people at any given time in their life, whether it's an employer, a friendship, a romantic relationship, eventually some high vibe people are willing to end the relationship because they're not willing to stay in something where they feel like people use their emotions more manipulatively. If it doesn't seem to be authentically loving, because the High Priestess is Cancer and Pisces, emotional water sign energy, I don't want to be in relationships with people who use their emotions manipulatively. Either you're being authentic and honest and truthful and just and fair and acting with character and integrity, or you're not. And some people might be experiencing some people leaving their life right now because they have tempered their ego trying to get these people to work through what manipulates them, and the other people they really don't want to detach from a way of viewing life or living life. If they did, they would, and they don't. So in love, we see the truth of it. Then we kind of have different ideas of kind of how we want to live our life and what we think is just and fair. And your way of living isn't the way I want to live my life. And I'm going to go find the people who are more on the same page as me. And you can go find someone who's more on the same page as you. And some shadowy people can be quite upset that you weren't willing to indulge them in their ego because they think people should. Well, maybe they'll find someone who isn't very connected in with their emotionally intuitive nature either, who thinks it's just and fair to operate more from their more worldly or defensive or egoic nature, and views life the way they live it. It's just that they both might be people who aren't very balanced and who are more manipulative in a relationship. But if they want to be in a relationship, more to be in a relationship, more for the status or the image, and they're both willing to stay in it for those reasons, well then that is a more just and fair relationship. But it's probably just not based on love. It's more of love of being in a relationship, love of having a certain status or image or something, you know? And if that's what they love, they should be in relationships with other people who love that. Other people want to be in authentic, deep, meaningful relationships. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.